Now, when it's described,
it's profound.
But when it's described in the woo-woo way, they show these particles going through these slots, and then observing them changes the pattern that they go through with. And there's a horrible cartoon that you see in that movie, What in the Bleep?
I couldn't get through that movie. I tried.
Did you go crazy with the bad science?
No, can I tell you where I turned? Maybe
Please.
I should.
Well, here's what people don't know. A lot of that is from a cult. The woman
that I didn't know.
The woman who is the main woman.
I don't mind a cult movie. I don't.
She's a channeler. She's speaking as a character. Like, do you know that one blonde woman, older blonde woman that's in that movie?
Yeah, okay.
And she speaks. When she speaks, she's speaking as a character.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You have to she's a part of this very bizarre sort of cult.
Okay.
And
should I tell you where I tuned it out, or you want to finish?
Please do.
Or do you want to finish?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just couldn't watch it. Right, there's a point where they were talking about natives in the Caribbean seeing European ships.
Yes.
And then they said, well, because they'd never seen a ship before, they brain didn't register it as anything, and then it just disappeared.
Bullshit.
And I'm thinking, no, that's not how the brain works.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's not how this works, okay?
Yeah.
What would happen? They might not know what they're looking at, but they'll know they're looking at something. And they've had ships. They went from island to island. That's how you get from island to island. They say, well, that's a really big version of what we're doing. We've never seen anything that big before. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from, but I want to find out. I want to study it. I want to protect myself, whatever. Exactly. So just because you've never seen doesn't mean you're not going to register it. Excuse me? No.
Exactly.
No. And I said, no, I can't waste I got other things I got to devote my brain energy to instead of this. But someone else said, oh, it gets better later on. So I said, maybe I'll one day.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No, it does not. It gets more confusing later on, and it does a better job of confusing you as to what science has shown and what they haven't shown.
Now, by the way, just in all fairness to what I think that the point they were trying to make, there are things that if you don't know to recognize them, they would go undiscovered.
Yes.
Okay? But that doesn't mean you wouldn't see them. Okay? So, for example, let's say you're walking and you didn't know that you were walking over this huge burial mound because the slope was really shallow, and you're just walking. Okay? Well, you didn't notice that. Okay? So you need a different way to see it in order to know. So from space, from an angle, measure the height, whatever. So there are ways to miss things. And that happens all the time.
Right.
But if it's something there on the horizon, my gosh. This is why we have eyes, okay? Now, they're not the best data-taking devices, but if it's come time to tell you whether there's a ship or not a ship that you've never seen before, it's a ship.
Of course.
Okay? Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I'm sort of screaming at you.
There's so much evidence of that when people discover new animals.
Yes.
When they've never seen things before. Anything.
New anything.
There's no record of it whatsoever. People find it and they can still see it.
Most scientific discoveries, you're discovering something we've never seen before.
Ramtha. That was the woman's name. That was the person that she was channeling.
That's a cool channeling name.
Yeah.
If you had to have a channeling name.
Ramtha,
if I were a channeler, I'd be Ramtho.
I found that after the movie was done. After I watched it, they got me with a lot of things. I was like, wow, is that true? Is that real? And then I started reading. Fortunately, that movie came out in the 2000s instead of in the 90s. Because if it came out in the 90s, we would have all got duped.
Oh, yeah.
Because we wouldn't have the internet. We wouldn't be able to research all the shit that's wrong with it. But in the 2000s, I started researching it, and then I would send it to my friends. Like, look where the fuck this came from. And then you go, oh, that's a cult? Yeah, it's a cult. The lady's a cult. She's talking like she's an alien. She's supposed to be an alien, right? Isn't that? Do you see it in there anywhere?
Again, I don't mind if people think they're channelers. I just don't put them in charge of anything. That's all.
Well, it's not that I
society.
mind. It's just that you should probably say that when you get going with that thing
in advance,
the beginning.
up front.
Yeah, so I know exactly what I'm
getting involved with. She's not going to say this is a cult. Nobody ever says that.
She just calls herself Ramtha.
They think it's real and genuine, and they're very sincere because they've duped themselves.
Well, that whole thing.
So what you need is you know what you need is some foundation of science literacy so that you can inoculate yourself against those who would exploit your absence of knowledge of how the science works for their own gain.